Hi everyone, it's Miss Terry, and I'm here today to talk about my fiction picks for students in grades 7 through 8 for the month of February. We're going to start with this one. It's called Pretty Boy, #PrettyBoyMustDie, and this is a story about a boy named Peter Smith who one night is out running at the track trying to be all incognito when a girl snaps a picture of him and posts it online with the hashtag #SeePrettyBoyRun. Well, this turns out to be very bad for Peter because that's not actually his name. His name is actually Jake Morrow, and he is a foster kid turned CIA agent, and he kind of screwed up his first mission, and he's kind of been stuck in this high school trying to stay undercover. And at first he's like, okay, well, maybe nobody saw the picture, but then the next day at school, some hostiles drop into his chemistry class and basically take out the teacher, and he's on the run and trying to keep away from those who are hunting him. Action-packed adventure. If you like the idea of one of your fellow classmates being an undercover agent, that's a good story for you. Excuse me. Special Forces, Unconventional Warfare by Chris Lynch is the story of a boy named Danny who's been getting into a lot of trouble, and to the point where he actually is arrested and he's brought before a judge, and the judge says basically you have two choices: you can go to jail or you can join the army. And he chooses the path of the army, where he becomes a member of the Studies and Observation Group, which is a very elite task force that deals with covert operations, specifically psychological warfare. But it turns out that the skills that have maybe not the skills, but the traits that have gotten him into a lot of trouble translate into skills that make him perfect for this group. So it's called Special Forces Unconventional Warfare. It's the first in the series. It's a nice quick read. The Girls Are Never Gone is the story of a girl named Dara Chase who's just broken up with her long-term boyfriend, and she had been on a TV show with him called Strange Virginia, and she decides it's time for something new, just kind of refresh and see if she can find what she's going to do next. And she decides to start a podcast about all things paranormal, and even though she's kind of been living that life of trying to find the proof of ghosts, she's never actually experienced anything. So she agrees to become a part of a reformation team that's is trying to fix up an old estate called the Arrington Estates. And during the day, she helps the workers kind of clean up and refresh, and then at night she sits and waits and tries to solve the mystery of a girl who drowned in the lake nearby. Well, it's not just her, it's two other teens that are with her, and they discover that a lot more than just one girl has gone missing in the lake, and they're determined to find out what has happened to them. So this is a little bit on the creepy side, as the house sometimes has a mind of its own. Tokyo Ever After is a story about a girl named Izumi who has always believed her mom when her mom said, oh, I don't really know your father that well. It was kind of a one-night stand. So it's just been her and her mom. Her mom is a biology professor. Until one day, one of her friends discovers that her dad is actually the Crown Prince of Japan, and Izumi is suddenly thrust into the spotlight when the press gets a hold of the story and discovers that she is the long-lost princess, and they bring her back to Japan to meet her father for the first time, and she's trying to figure out what her new life is going to be like. If you like stories like The Princess Diaries, you might enjoy Tokyo Ever After. Take Me Home Tonight is about two girls, Kat and Stevie, who are theater geeks, and they're waiting for the fall cast list to come out, and it hasn't come out at the speed that Kat would like. And she's determined to get Stevie to sneak away into New York City for the night so that they can go see their drama professor's play that she had written and is producing on New York. And they're hoping that will kind of give them an edge in the new cast list that is going to be coming out. And Stevie is a bit reluctant at first, but then her dad cancels on her birthday dinner, and so that she agrees to go. And that's when the mayhem ensues. As Stevie's stepsister asks her for a favor, they end up getting stuck with this Pomeranian dog, and they get locked out of the apartment, and they're trying to figure out where a spare key might be, end up racing all over New York City. They get into a huge fight, they lose their cell phone, and things just go from bad to worse as they are trying to get through this evening. It's called Take Me Home Tonight. The Forest of Stolen Girls is a story about, it actually takes place in Korea. It's a historical fiction, and it's about, I'm sorry, I gotta look at the name because it's a little bit difficult. So it's about a girl named Hawani, whose father has gone missing, and he is a detective. And so she ends up going back to her hometown. It's on an island where she meets up with her, kind of like her long lost sister, because her family's estranged, because her dad had been investigating the 13 missing girls that had gone missing from their village. And this is really the case that has kind of led to his disappearance, and she's trying to find him, and her sister decide that they're going to try to figure out what exactly happened to those girls. And it's not just any girls, it's the most beautiful girls in the village. And there is a man in a white mask that they discover is tied to both the missing of their father and the missing of those girls. So this is called The Forest of Stolen Girls. A little bit on the creepy side, but also a mystery. The Seventh Raven is kind of has a fairy tale bent to it, and it's the story about a boy named Robin and his 6 brothers, who all happen to be named Jack. And their parents, Jack and Jane, had been living in the forest, and the boys were always helping. The Jacks were very content with their life, Robin not so much. And they'd always been praying to have a little girl, and when the girl is born, she's kind of gray and lifeless. And the dad gets very angry, and in a spurt of magic curses the boys to turn into ravens. But when he does that, the daughter comes to life and is full of health. Well, many years later, April, the daughter, discovers the smocks of her brothers and realizes that something is not right, and she is determined to find them and break the curse. Unfortunately, Robin is not really sure. He wants the curse to be broken, as he finds a lot of freedom in being able to fly and in being the raven. So it's called The Seventh Raven. Violets Are Blue are about a young girl named Wren, whose life is kind of in turmoil. Her parents have just recently gotten a divorce. Her dad has already remarried and is expecting twins with his new wife. And this is a bit shocking for her, even though she really does love her stepmother. But her mom is acting strange. She's a nurse. She's starting to miss work, fall asleep on the couch, locking things in her bedroom. And there's some very disturbing behavior that Wren isn't sure quite how to deal with. Well, she really loves special effects makeup, and her friend encourages her to do the makeup for the school musical, and she really finds a lot of solace in doing that makeup, as she also is trying to track down one of her heroes named Cat FX, who does incredible makeup so that she can learn some tips and tricks, as well as deal with the breakup of her family. So it's called Violets Are Blue. Pahua and the Soul Stealer is a part of the Rick Riordan Presents series, and it's by Lori M. Lee. And one of the reasons I'm pulling this one out is that it's a really fascinating tale that is steeped in Hmong mythology, and Pahua is able to see spirits. Unfortunately, this doesn't make her very popular at school, especially because she has a tendency to talk to her invisible cat spirit friend, so kids kind of think she's a little bit crazy. Well, a new girl comes to school and kind of reaches out a hand of friendship to Pahua, and she's very excited about this. Unfortunately, it goes awry when she accidentally untethers an angry spirit who steals the soul of her brother, and she realizes that she's going to have to step in order to save her brother. So it's called Pahua and the Soul Stealer. And then another series in the Rick Riordan Presents. This one is about Paola Santiago, and this is Latinx mythology. And in the first one, in the River of Tears, she is against La Llorona, who is the wailing ghost woman who terrorizes the river near her town. And in the second one, it's called The Forest of Nightmares. So a little bit on the spooky side, but really about a young hero really coming into her own as she battles some mythological monsters. Enjoy.